If your business is drowning in debt but it still has loyal customers, solid staff and a chance to survive, a pre-pack liquidation might be your lifeline. Most directors have never even heard of it, but done right, it can save everything you've built and let you start again clean. Too many UK directors shut down their companies the hard way. They go through a liquidation and it's a full stop. They lose clients, they lose staff, and they destroy their reputation in the process. But there is another way, and it's a legal process that protects what's working while dealing with what's not. Now, if you don't understand pre-packs and worse, if you get bad advice, you could lose everything unnecessarily. And I have seen directors walk away from six-figure contracts, let go of brilliant teams, and even trigger personal liability when they didn't have to. Okay? Now, last year I worked with a director. He was running a marketing agency. They were about £250,000 in debt, and it wasn't really down to them. It was because they'd not been paid for certain contract, and most of it were HMRC and suppliers. They had 12 staff, great recurring contracts and loyal clients. And we used a pre-pack to help them sell their business to a connected company for a fair value. And today they've got the same staff, they've got the same clients, they've got no old debt and no stress keeping them up at night. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down what a pre-pack liquidation is, how it works, who's it for, and when it's the worst idea in the world. I'll walk you through the exact steps involved, give you real director stories, and show you how to do it properly so you avoid personal liability, you can save your team, and you can move forward. Now, if you're a UK company director and your business is under pressure, subscribe now. We publish weekly videos on how to legally close your company, avoid mistakes, and protect yourself from personal fallout. And if this sounds like your situation, drop a comment below or message me privately and I'll reply personally. I have sat across from thousands of directors over the years who thought a pre-pack was dodgy or illegal. It's not. If done right and done transparently and professionally, it's often a very smart route forward. And I've used it to save businesses, protect jobs, and help directors rebuild with dignity. So I'm going to break it down in simple terms, okay? A pre-pack liquidation is when your business's assets are sold to a new company, often one you've set up in advance, before you appoint a liquidator and go into liquidation. That new business that has bought the assets can continue trading, same staff, same customers, potentially same brand if needed, but without the debt that was crushing the old one. Think of it like this. You shut down company A, which is insolvent and loaded with debt. You move the healthy part, staff, assets, IP, contract, into company B. Company B starts fresh. Company A is then liquidated, debts go with it. And it's all handled legally, transparently, by a licensed insolvency practitioner. So, you're probably thinking, why is it called a pre-pack? It's called a pre-pack because the sale is agreed and done before the company officially goes into liquidation. So everything's prepared in advance. The valuation, the sale, and the new company structure, so the transfer happens instantly. It's fast, it's structured, and when you do it right, it can save your business, your team, and your mental health. Now, some people think a pre-pack is dodgy or illegal, and it's not. What's illegal is abusing it, like selling assets for cheap, hiding things from creditors, using a company name without permission. But if you follow the rules, it is completely legitimate. Okay, but you've got to follow the rules, okay? Now, if your business is in debt, you can't pay, you've got HMRC breathing down your neck, you've got threats of winding up petitions, but underneath it, you've got something. You've got some profits. If the company had shed the legacy debt, then maybe a pre-pack could be right for you. I mean, listen, pick the phone, we'll have a chat for you. We'll have a chat with you completely off the record, no strings, no obligation. Now, a pre-pack isn't for everyone. But if you use it properly, it can be a brilliant solution. So this is like the scenarios where it would make sense. Number one, your business is viable, okay? Your debts are killing it, okay? So you might have some contracts, you might have some income, you might have some staff, you might have some work in the pipeline, but the legacy debt is suffocating you now. VAT, corporation tax, bounce back loans, C-bills, that type of thing. And number two is you want to preserve your staff, okay? You want to preserve your brand. You know, if you liquidate normally and you put a full stop at the end of it, you lose everything. In a pre-pack, it lets you to protect the team and actually protect trade. Number three, you might be under legal threat and you need speed. Like if HMRC are breathing down your neck and they're threatening a winding up petition, if it's looming, it's only a short matter of time before that gets delivered on your doorstep. And a pre-pack is one of the few tools that could protect parts of the business that are profitable. Now, another thing is, you might be emotionally attached to your business. And in your head, you're like, any type of insolvency is a failure. You've got to be smart about this. If you've built something, and in amongst all this stress and destruction, there is something valuable, and you know it can work with a clean balance sheet, a pre-pack might be the answer, okay? Now, what you've got to be careful of though, right, when a pre-pack is not a good fit, is when you're just trying to ditch debt and carry on recklessly, you know. This isn't about dodgy responsibility, it's about a structured recovery. You know, if you've abused bounce back loans or C-bills and you've premeditated the fact that you've racked up huge HMRC arrears and took deposits that you shouldn't have done, that were never going to get the work was never going to be done, that a pre-pack's not going to hide that. You're still going to be investigated. You know, if you're just going to do this for some short-term breathing space to do it again in 6 months, you're going to end up in trouble. Another reason why it's not for you, if your business model's over, you know, you've got no income, you've got no customers, you've got no plan. That's not pre-pack material. I remember a business I worked with a few years ago, and AI overnight had just ripped their business model apart. There was no business to come out the other end of this, but someone else had sold them on the idea of a pre-pack and buying back their assets. I'm like, the assets haven't got any value, mate. You need to look at this as it is, not worse than it is. And another thing that will cause you an issue in a pre-pack is you want to keep the company name, but you're not willing to go through the hoops you need to make sure it's legal and above board, okay? So a framework to sort of understand if a pre-pack is right for you is, you want to ask yourself, first question is your business making money month to month if you took out the burden of the legacy debts? Or can it, okay? Do I actually want to keep my staff? Do I want to protect clients? Do I want to protect contracts? Am I ready to work with a professional insolvency advisor to do this properly and above board? And if yes, it's probably worth exploring. And I mean, if you're thinking about a pre-pack, don't guess it. Book a free call with us. We'll tell you if it's the right move or if another option's more suitable, you know. Now, I want to break down the process of a pre-pack. This is where directors can get overwhelmed. They think it's some secret, murky process, and it's not. It's got to be transparent, and it's process driven, and this is exactly how it works. So, let's say somebody picks the phone to us. We speak to them about the scenario, we go through the inquiry, find out what the problems are, find out what their intention is, and then if their intention is, right, I want to start again, I want to look at a pre-pack, we'll bring in one of the IPs to have a conversation, and we'll sort of have a debrief. What's working? What's not? Who's owed what? Where's the risk here? And then the next step is to get an independent valuation of the assets, because you've got to make the deal fair. The company's assets are valued independently: stock, equipment, brand, contracts, and this protects creditors and it ensures transparency. and it avoids selling the business for too little. It avoids you not being allowed to transfer stuff over, and it protects you against accusations that you've done this wrong. And you want to get an independent agent. We will introduce you to somebody, and they'll want to know all about your business. They might want to come to site, and they'll do a report. And the report will essentially say, what is this business worth in situ? And that's the figure that they believe this business is worth to you to be able to continue trading the day after in the new company. And then there's an ex situ value. And that's what they believe the business is worth if it's broken up and sold at auction. And you, as a responsible director, will be wanting to make an offer somewhere between the two, okay? So you won't get criticised later. And the agent will have to write a letter of recommendation saying that is a good offer, okay? Now, another step here, if you've not already done it, is you're going to need to create a new company. And it could be you or another buyer who sets up that limited company, and it's that company that will purchase the old company's assets based on that fair valuation, okay? The new company is going to need things like bank accounts. It's going to need, you know, an accountant. It's going to need insurances. And if you're going to reuse the old name, you're going to have to follow the guidance of section 216, okay? Which I'm going to come on to. Now, once the valuation's complete, you'll speak to the agent, you'll speak to the insolvency practitioner, and the agent, you'll make an offer to the agent what you think is an acceptable offer. We'll guide you through that. And if the agent would say, yeah, I will write a letter of recommendation there, what you would do, there's two ways you can do it. You can get a formalised sale agreement done by the solicitor. There's added cost to that, added time. Or sometimes you'll be able to do it where you sell the assets on an invoice basis. And that's essentially company A, insolvent company, raises a invoice to Newco, and that could be assets as per the valuation for X amount, and the Newco has to pay for the assets. And in most cases, an insolvency practitioner, as long as you're keeping them up to speed with what's going on, because remember, they've not been formally appointed yet, they will give you time to buy those assets, and that could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be longer in certain scenarios, okay? Now then, all the assets have been sold to the Newco. The staff can be paid across. If you've got leases, you're going to need to speak to your landlord to make sure that your landlord is okay to assign the lease or to novate the lease over, or he wants to do a new lease with you. But once all that's done, you can commence the liquidation of the old company. And the insolvency practitioner will collect all your information in, we will hand you your notices for signature, you'll send them back, and the insolvency practitioner will write giving notice to all the creditors of a creditors meeting. Now remember, at this point you've sold all the assets out, so you're liquidating a shell with debt. And the key thing is, when that insolvency practitioner gets appointed, they're going to need to know that you have followed the correct process and you have paid the right consideration for the assets. Now, in a liquidation, the IP handles all creditor claims, reports to HMRC, and they close the company legally. The debts will stay with the old company. Your new business can trade immediately, okay? If done properly and reviewed in detail, at this stage you'll understand if there's any personal comeback, okay? Now, I want to touch on section 216, and that is the use of a prohibited name. So if you're a company and you're going to place a business into liquidation, you are not allowed to use the same or a similar name for a period of 5 years, unless you follow one of these 3 routes. Route 1 is you already have a trading company that has a similar name. So I'm liquidating Chris Worden Limited, but I've got Chris Worden Kirkham Limited, and that company has been trading for over 12 months, okay? Not incorporated, trading. That would circumnavigate section 216. I could apply to court. That's probably going to cost you about £5,000 in legal fees to get a judge to agree that it is not in contravention to section 216. But the best way of doing it, and what most people do, is they agree to buy the trading style and brand from the liquidator on the liquidator's date of liquidation, the creditors meeting. Now, it's highly likely your name, right, is got only a value to you. So you will pay a nominal fee to the liquidator, let's say £500 on the day of liquidation. You've then got 28 days to advertise the fact that you've bought the name in the London Gazette, okay? That's about 180 quid. You've then got to write to all the creditors, so everyone you owe money to, and the stakeholders, to tell them that you've bought the name and you're going to be trading in a new company using that name, okay? Now, if you want to see if this step-by-step path could work for your business, you can hit the link, book a call with us. You can message us privately. We'll walk you through it for free. And we'll tell you if it's a good idea or not, okay? We'll tell you if it's the right option for you. And we'll do that without taking a penny off you. Now, if you've done a pre-pack and you've gone through and the old company's in liquidation, the new company's taken over, what now? Let's talk about life after the pre-pack, because that is where most directors either win big or they mess it up again. You've got a clean slate, but it's not a free pass. Here's what you've just achieved. You've got no old debt, you've got HMRC off your back, you've protected your staff, and you've got business continuity. But here's what you need to do next. You've got to look at what went wrong. Why did that old business fail? And a lot of the time, it's because people didn't have the finger on the pulse when it comes to numbers. So now you need to keep it clean. You need to do professional records. You need a monthly profit and loss. So you get a bookkeeper in, or you get your accountant to do it, or if you're a big enough company, you get an FD in to do it. But you make sure at the end of month one, you've got a profit and loss. And it's to make sure that new company is profitable from day one, okay? Get your contracts in place, have real contracts, have real terms, have real financial systems in place. When you do a job and you invoice the job and they're happy for the job, ask for the bloody money, okay? Communicate clearly with clients, suppliers and staff. You've got to start this as you mean to go on. A pre-pack is not a license to carry on like nothing happened. Because if you repeat the same mistakes, poor cash flow, bad credit control, over-reliance on loans, you'll end up in this position again in 12 months. And the common post-pre-pack mistakes are, they're not registering for that quick enough. They're not paying PAYE from day one. They're trading with the same suppliers without transparency. And they're failing to put clear systems in place. They're not learning the lessons from the insolvency. And there is an opportunity with pre-packs. You've hit reset. That's rare in business. Use it wisely. You've got a second shot, so make it count. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, this is me, remember, the hard part isn't doing the pre-pack. The hard part is leading the business differently next time. So if you're serious about getting it right, we can help you with a full picture. Not just the process, but the aftercare too. Please pick the phone up. We can have a chat today. We can discuss how this is going to look. Now, pre-packs are powerful, but if you don't follow the rules, it will backfire badly. And let's talk about some of the problems, okay? What's allowed, what's not allowed. Now, I've touched on reusing the company name, section 2166. If you plan to use the company name after liquidation, the UK insolvency laws say you must follow section 216 rules, and if you don't, you could be liable for debts of the old company. Honest to God, the insolvency service are hot on this. So make sure you buy the name from the liquidator, you notify all creditors, and you advertise properly in the Gazette. Do not skip this step. We have seen directors sued just for missing this out. Remember, any asset valuation must be fair, okay? So you need an independent agent to value absolutely everyone. Don't get Dave from down the pub to do it. We will introduce you to an agent. A good insolvency firm will always have agents that they work with, right? Now, Don't start taking all the company out, money out the company before liquidation, okay? Don't repay loans to friends and family first. Don't transfer assets out without the right valuation being done. Everything has got to be documented. It's got to be valued, and it will get a letter of recommendation from the agent, and you want to keep your insolvency practitioner in the loop at all times, okay? So HMRC will scrutinise these, okay? The insolvency practitioner will scrutinise these. The insolvency service will scrutinise these things. You've got to be careful, okay? So if you need some help, pick the phone up today. Chris Worden, Director First. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.